Hello, welcome. My name is Craig Otto, and I'll be talking today about operational excellence and transforming your organization towards operational excellence. And this is the second part of the four-part series here of transformation, and I'll be talking today about the build phase of transforming your organization. So initially, in the first phase, you discover the tools of competitive manufacturing or lean or whatever you want to call it, operational excellence. And those tools are value stream analysis, rapid improvement events, production control boards, and problem solving. But the issue is, and what you'll find is after 1 to 3 years of doing this, you get short-term results, but you struggle with long-term results. And that's why it's important that you learn to build what are called systems to take you to the next step. Otherwise, you'll just get stuck in a do loop with the tools and never really bridge the gap to where you want to get to. And where you want to get to is long-term results, or a culture that creates competitiveness, a culture that creates cost reduction and value for the customer. So if we look at it, again, you have your tools that help you achieve the short-term results, but there's something missing. And that's what I want to talk about now, is that what is missing and why is it missing. I think it's more important to know why it's missing versus what is missing. And to know that, I want to talk a little bit about the 5 ages of civilization. First age being the hunter and gatherer age, where people would have to go out each day and get their food, and that was basically kind of tough, because if you didn't get your food, you're going to be hungry. So it's almost survival of the fittest all the time. And then we had farmers come along, and I'm sure the hunters kind of thought they were crazy. They would put all this effort into getting fields ready and working the ground and planting these seeds. But come the fall, when they harvested, what the hunters and gatherers realized is there was abundance of food, and that food could be saved and used throughout the year, and one person could create 50 times the productivity of the hunter and gatherer. So it taught a lot of good things. It taught integrity, putting first things first from the farming perspective. When the fields are ready to plant, you got to plant the fields. You can't be doing anything else. And that's what creates integrity, having commitments and making those commitments. It's maturity, the ability to have wisdom and to know, and the patience that what you sow today, you'll reap tomorrow in the long term. And that abundance mentality that there's plenty for everyone. Those are all characteristics and character ethics that were very good, that things that we've learned from the agricultural age. The third age was the industrial age. So we came along with new technology and machines and all these nice things, and things being the key word. The problem with that was we got so consumed with all these things, we started treating people like things. If you look at our accounting model, computers and things are assets. Machinery, those are assets. But people are expenses. That's not the right way to think. And when you treat people like things, you start deceiving them, you manipulate them, and you're more concerned about your image, and that's all called personality ethic. And that's not what we want. It's the wrong behavior. The industrial age drove this wrong behavior. The problem is it advanced to industrial age because we've got 50 times the productivity of a farmer. So with each of the new ages, you've got 50 times the productivity, and so that's good. But where the industrial age has taken us from a behavioral standpoint is bad. Now we're starting to get into what's called the knowledge worker age, which is beyond the industrial age. And what that is where you recognize that there's principles that are universal. They apply to everything. They're timeless, and they're self-evident. So as we learn of these principles, we start to get back to the roots that we learned in the agricultural age about people, that you can have industrial age equipment and technology. You just need to understand that people are not things, and people can live by principles, and that's really what you're striving for. So when we go back to these 4 boxes or diamonds here, when I say culture, we're striving for principles. And that's where you can see the top diamond is these guiding principles of operational excellence. You have individual focus and you have organizational focus. And it starts with the inside and works out. And you'll learn more about that in the lead phase, which is the next phase. But before I get to that, I want to continue this talk on systems and how systems drive behavior, which ultimately drive long-term results. So again, the tools are what get you the short-term results in your normal safety, quality, cost, and delivery. And then the systems are what actually have the behavioral effect to sustain the gains. So again, this is the build phase, and it's usually between years 4 and 7 of the transformation. You may dabble in the discovery phase with systems like 6S or event auditing, but the problem is, it's just like your body. A single system in your body really is no good. It has to work together. You need all the pieces of the puzzle in order to be truly effective and survive and thrive. So things like daily improvement, where your employees come in each day and strive to eliminate their problems. Visual management, that's if your organization can tell if you're winning or losing at any moment in time at a glance. Standard follow-up, it's about having a cadence of accountability and having all the groups work together and hold each other accountable for making improvement. So that's truly what those systems will guide and drive towards the principles of excellence. And you can see there's 4 core ones here. The one I didn't mention was strategy deployment. That's usually one of the last ones you can get to, or last ones you get good at, I should say. Now let's look at the behavior here. Events, when you have improvement events or kaizens, that's kind of batching improvement. And what you're trying to get to with systems is flowing it, one piece flow, at a daily level, at an individual level. So let's talk a little bit of how systems work. You have your work systems, which is the processes. Then you have the management of those systems. And then you have the actual improvement systems themselves, that where you look to signal the problem, swarm the problem, solve it, and then share how it was solved. And let's analyze that real quick. So if I break this down and compare Kaizen or events to daily improvement, the signal for an event is a value stream analysis where you map the process. For daily improvement, it's when someone has an issue. And one is cross-functional, so the events are more cross-functional, and the person who has an issue is more functional. They're going to take the responsibility to improve it themselves. To swarm during the events, you have what's called rapid improvement event. And for swarming at a daily improvement system, you're more, it's just you, or maybe it's a whole system architecture where it's your team. Basically, though, the events will get you more organizational focus, and the daily improvement will be more individual focused. You can see the benefits of having both. You don't just go on from using tools and stop and then do systems. You use both so that they can work together because they cover different things. For events, you have 4 core tools like 6S, one piece flow, standard work, and pull systems. And then you have ideas from the daily improvement system to solve the issue. And if you think of it in terms of baseball, the daily improvement, those are like your singles. And you need singles to win the ball game. And every now and then it's nice to have a home run too, the big efforts to get the big wins. Now with both, you need to share what you've learned. And for daily improvement, it's a system connection here where you have visual management, which is a system. That's how you share daily improvement. And then A3 thinking shares it for an event. And both of them, you want to steal shamelessly and you want to be a cheater. You want to learn from everyone. That's why you share it. That's the behavior you want. Bottom line, though, is these systems by themselves don't work. What you want is them working together. And what I found through my research and my application is the 4 disciplines of execution works very well. And it's connected in that discipline 1, focus on the wildly important, is strategy deployment. Discipline 2, which is acting on lead measures, relates right to daily improvement. The third one, which is keep a compelling scorecard, ties right to visual management. And the last one, which is creating a cadence of accountability, is your standard follow-up. So you can see how the 4 disciplines of execution relates directly to the 4 core systems of operational excellence. Just a little bit more on the 4 disciplines of execution. Focus on the wildly important. Basically, a lot of organizations don't get things done because they don't have a focus. You've got to have that most important thing, and maybe 1 or 2 major goals at the most. Because when you have 12 to 20 goals, nothing gets accomplished. Discipline 2 is about acting on lead measures. Many times organizations fail because they are looking at lag measures. They're not looking at things that they can influence or predict. Discipline 3, which is about keeping a compelling scorecard. Compelling is the key word. Many times we have coaches' scoreboards, and then we try to force that on the players. Where what Discipline 3 is actually about is having players create their own compelling scorecards so that's more meaningful to them. And that way they get more results. And then the last one is a cadence of accountability, where you basically make commitments to improve your scorecard. You review the scorecard each week, and then lastly is as you impact the scorecard, you make new commitments. And what's different is basically you have your daily business that happens, and that is always going to happen. But in terms of the functional groups, like your team advisor, the team, the quality engineer, the tool engineer, the material analyst, the industrial engineer, everyone has their own direction that they want to take things. And what that leads to is an unknown path, and you kind of get status quo. What the 4 disciplines actually does, and it's different, is that it makes everyone aligned in the same path, no matter who you're working for. And that's how you get true dial movement in terms of your performance, and that also is what ultimately leads to sustainment. Now, this is just a visual, to show the different processes maybe in your business and sort of the performance in those different areas, and then the support groups who help make those areas work. And traditionally with Lean, you have the little Lean team come in and work on each of the areas one by one. And what ends up happening is you get a spike, but then performance trails off as the Lean team moves on to the next area. What you want is a systems center where the Lean team implements a structure and a system to support production. And that's where you can see you transform the way the support groups think, the way they focus on things, and now you have an infrastructure for sustainment. And that's ultimately leads to continuous improvement. And you're going to have ups and downs as you implement this. But those downs times are the times where you implement bigger changes, and those can be expected. But the overall trend is moving forward, moving up in performance. This was the build phase. Again, it's years 4 through 7. And it is all about the systems and integrating those systems, not just keeping them by themselves. You want to have them work together. So Look forward to the next time. The next phase will be lead, and that's where you're going to learn more about the principles that these systems that you're building will drive towards and how to implement those.